This is the Tour du Mont Blanc, a 100-mile hike people say even beginners can finish. But is that really true? To be clear, this precisely 112-mile trail is typically done over 11 days through 3 countries around Western Europe's tallest mountain, Mont Blanc. My wife Mary and I plan to find out, even though it's more than twice as long as any distance we've ever done. We were curious. Is it realistic for a beginner to finish this trail? And even if they could, is it actually worth doing? Is there something about long hikes that you can't get from a weekend trip? To get to the bottom of this, we had to finish the entire tour ourselves, and from our research, this was not a certainty. Making things even harder was the fact that we didn't bring a tent, so every day we would have to reach our next shelter before dinner time to keep the sold-out reservations we made half a year earlier to avoid being stranded in the mountains. For the ultimate TMB experience, we skipped using a tour group, selected the best mountain huts after extensive research, and I even spent hundreds of hours learning French to better connect with the locals. After all that preparation, it was time to put our questions and ourselves to the test, so we flew halfway around the world and started in the French village of Les Ouches, the gateway to the Tour du Mont Blanc. We just stayed in this pizzeria here with the lovely Geraldine. She will welcome us back at the end of our tour. So we'll start here and here. It'll be very nice. Here's the arch to start the Tour du Mont Blanc. Obviously a popular spot. Our goal was to reach Italy in the first 3 days, which meant we had 27 miles ahead of us before we heard our first buongiorno. On day 1, we were baptized by fire, hiking 11 miles over 3 mountain passes to the mountain town of Contamine. I think I'm the only one on this trail without poles. I always hike with poles religiously in the US, but I didn't take them on the plane because we didn't have any checked bags. And part of me doesn't want to buy them to then just have to leave them, and I'm doing okay. There's a little train departing the Col de Vosa station up there. That's amazing.
It's so surreal being here. I just feel like I'm living in a postcard.
This is a little train station. We've got some history of the station. Hotel Bellevue. Doesn't look abandoned, but it looks empty right now. Yeah, it looks brand new in there. Looks nice. Well named for the Bellevue it has. We got a little grass trail which feels wonderful under our feet.
It feels like dancing on marshmallows right now.
Dancing on marshmallows.
It feels so good.
Mary's spirits were high, but a mile down the trail, she came face to face with her fear of heights. We got a little suspension bridge here.
Ooh.
At first, Mary didn't want to go across.
Okay. All right.
But then she did it. Some trail sections on the Tour du Mont Blanc, or TMB for short, have been in use for thousands of years by ancient Roman soldiers, Celtic tribes, and thousands of sheep. We retraced their footsteps on our ascent to the day's midpoint at Col du Tricot, col meaning mountain pass in French. There's like a tiny shelter there on the ridge. Here we are, Col du Tricot. We just had a cheeky lunch here at Col du Tricot. I had a bread with goat's cheese, which was awesome, and tomatoes.
Is it goat's cheese or is it goat cheese?
Goat cheese sounds like pus that comes out of a goat, and goat's cheese sounds like cheese that a goat makes. But you guys can be the judge.
But the goat doesn't make it. We thieve the milk from the goat and then we make it.
And also I'm going to have this wafer. The first TMB attempt was in 1767 when Horace Benedict de Saussure took some friends, pack mules, and his fancy name through the various mountain passes that today are gateways to the TMB. I feel like the mountain settlements he saw back then weren't so different from the village of Miage we hiked through.
Trevor, this like literally might be my dream house.
That is beautiful. Nice little resto. Up the hill we go. Le Contamine Montjoie. That's where we're going. We'll be there in an hour 50.
It's honestly a relief to go up a little bit because we had such a big downhill.
She's right. But I'm still gonna say famous last words.
Oh, 100%. Feel free to check in 15.
Since Horace's initial tour, the trail has attracted hundreds of thousands of people looking for adventure and a mental reset from everyday life. When Mary and I stopped at our first trail cafe, it was clear that we hadn't yet fully mentally reset.
I just came to do it as fast as possible. I can't even check my email here.
Bringing big American energy here.
Big
Merci.
Alors, le jus de myrtille
Pour moi.
pour vous et le café au lait pour moi.
Pour moi aussi.
Ah oui, d'accord.
How's your cream on top cafe au lait?
It's good. It's a bowl of steaming liquid, which maybe for a day like today, something like myrtle juice would be a little more refreshing, but it's great.
I wish if I said myrtle juice 3 times, I'd show up next to Mont Blanc. Goodbye, auberge, le truc. I must have started getting tired at this point because I just started naming things I see on camera. Park bench. We also saw what must be one of the most hardcore jobs around the Alps, which by the way is drainage ditch clearer. So he's here clearing it out nicely. These guys were machines. We're getting into outskirts of Contamine on our way to the center. These beautiful fairy tale houses here going all the way down into the valley. We just got some supplies at the Carrefour grocery store. Some fresh fruit, some little sausages, some gluten-free bread. Now we are marching through Contamine. I also got poles,
Oh, they're
red
so
poles
sick.
here,
They
which match
his
my backpack.
And you got
And
some.
Mary's match her backpack.
Ooh.
In Contamine, we stayed in a classic French ski condo like the one we saw in February at Trois-Vallées. I went on a side quest to dip in the glacial river in town after Mary laughed me out of the room at the suggestion. We enjoyed a nice meal in town, and then I panicked and bought a blueberry beer in the grocery store because it seemed like a cool thing to do in the Alps, even though I don't like beer. And then we crashed into bed after a long first day. We were excited for day 2 because that night we'd be staying in our first mountain refuge on the TMB, and we were curious if the stay would be comfortable. The first couple miles of the trail that day were flat along the valley floor until we saw a beautiful church marking the point at which we might need a higher power as the trail started to climb. Look at the underside of the roof there. It's got blue paint with lettering, Mother of Divine Grace written on top. That's really cool. Mary's gonna stop for some breakfast here at this little chalet, I think. Cappuccino at Refuge de Montblanc with a view that is ordinary here, but incredible everywhere else. Sound of bells means we have a cow herd here. This is heaven. We saw more cows, and honestly at this point I was starting to consider trading in my 9-to-5 for a bell on my neck and a mouthful of grass. We're getting up to elevation, so now I'm going into alpine mode. Alpine mode engaged. Croix du Mont Blanc, 2 hours away. Here we go. We did the tour in mid-July, which turned out to have a lot of beautiful alpine flowers cheering us on as we hiked towards Refuge de Croix de la Bonhomme. This is also where I made a tiny, huge mistake. I believe we're close to Bonhomme. We weren't. And to make it better, I started saying smart things like, "It's not a bad place to be far." Mary wasn't amused with my bad predictions of how close we were, and instead just focused on following the red and white blazes that mark the TMB in France. Eventually my prediction came true, and the refuge revealed itself. I think that's it, Mary.
It's a thing of beauty.
Mary was so excited to be there that this is literally Mary running ahead of me. We made it to the refuge before supper time and took a much-needed rest. The hut had a laid-back bohemian character to it, complete with the young adults running its operation. Here's the boot room. There are no shoes allowed in the hut. Everyone has flip-flops or slippers that they either bring with them or they're given when they arrive, and that keeps the hut clean. So make sure you respect the hut rules. Refuge Croix de la Bonhomme had all the basics, except unfortunately hot showers on that day for some reason. They usually do, but when we were there, we had to wash ourselves in the sink. Unfortunately, I lost some footage of the hut, but we paid extra to be in a small bunk room with 4 other people instead of the large dortoir-style bunk rooms, which have tens of people in them. There's literally a donkey under here. 2 of them. These donkeys weren't just pets, but also the transportation muscle making sure we had all the hot food we needed at the hut. Dinner was chickpea curry, and I used my French to talk to our table mates, the Schneider family from Strasbourg in eastern France. We passed out after dinner, and I woke up on the top bunk in the morning to an unpleasant surprise. We're going to be taking the TMB alternate route, a little bit higher but not as much elevation gain and descent, and it cuts 2 miles off the trail. We looked at the weather, we have like a 3-hour window, and to speed things up, we got a ride. You guys letting us? No? No, this guy's not feeling it. We didn't have a choice. To keep our upcoming hut reservations, we had to find a way. With storm clouds brewing, we climbed the ridge to beat the weather. We walked the ancient paths, passing old relics along the way. Mary hiked in so few clothes that a man asked her if she was from Russia as we crossed a snow patch, to which she responded, "No, I'm from Maine." This was the first day we really stepped away from civilization on this trail, and by day 3, our minds were ready to accept it. We descended into a valley whose only evidence of humanity was a tiny dairy farm.
You can buy Beaufort here. Tom de Savoie. Bonjour. Savez-vous si c'est un café au restaurant
Ah non, il n'y a rien
là-bas? Non?
Si vous voulez, descendez là en bas.
Ouais.
Et vous montez, oui, la maison au fond là-bas, sur la rive droite.
D'accord.
Là-bas au fond, là c'est un refuge, ouais, donc ils servent des cafés,
Super.
des tout.
Merci.
De rien.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
I see a monument with American, French, and Italian flags, so I'm curious what this is all about. So in 1946, a B-17 bomber went missing here with an 8-man crew, and they had crashed into the ice. And only in 1979 were all their remains fully removed. Here is a memorial to these people.
In fact, the entire Valley of Glaciers was full of 20th century military history, since it sat right on the edge of the French and Italian border.
In June of 1940, there was also a battle between Italy and France in these areas. You can see the Italian units moving through Ville de Glacier and Motet, where we are right now. Bonjour. Holy shit. Just a bit of wind. We're in Italy now here.
I have so much energy right now. I am just so filled to the brim with the beauty of this place, and every time you like crest this hill, you're just given this like new vantage point to even more and more incredible mountains. We're so lucky.
Old military quarters. I wonder if this is where they attacked Motet. Welcome. Here's the Refugio. Refugio Elisabetta. This is our room. We're in a double room. Mary and I taking the top bunks. There's a guy from Czech here as well, from Prague. And we got the glacier view. Oh!
This is insane.
It is Thursday morning. We are in front of Refugio Elisabetta.
Oh,
We are in alpine mode and we're ready to roll. Today's a big day. We're going 22K to Refugio Bertone. Most people we told that to, we're like, oh, that's a big day. Most people are going to Courmayeur tomorrow. We're going past Courmayeur, but war turtles, slow and steady.
Look at this. Far away. Or Andiamo, actually. We're in Italy now.
Italy.
We set off from, no, that's not right. Okay, we set off from Refugio Elisabetta, well fed and well rested. The food at our first Italian hut was incredible. In classical Italian fashion, we had a 3-course meal of soup, risotto, and panna cotta for dinner, and a continental breakfast with hot coffee in the morning. We would need it for the long day ahead. So far, we were torn on how beginner-friendly this trek was. On the one hand, the comfort of the huts and cafes along the way, paired with killer views, made this an ideal setting to walk through the mountains. But the distances were no joke, and we weren't even halfway there.
We got our first Italian cows. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Beginners will be relieved to hear that they can ride down to Courmayeur from the top of the ridge if necessary, but our feet followed the yellow Italian markers for the TMB all the way to town.
We're hoping to get to the grocery store before it closes at 1. It is 12:30 and we are about 15 minutes away. So I think we got this. We made it to Carrefour. Glory. Glory.
After we bought groceries and some new hiking socks, we sat down for a leisurely 3-course meal at Ristorante La Terrazza before a phone call changed our speed.
It is 3 o'clock. We are heading to Refugio Bertone. We have to be there by 6 or our reservation is canceled. The signs say it takes 2 hours and 25 minutes. They say that if you come after 5, give them a call, which I did. And to that she just said, okay, but if you come after 6, you're screwed. So, grind time. Buongiorno. Buongiorno. Where were we?
We're down there. Now we're up here.
Well, this is quite the sight. And so is this. Bertone. Buongiorno.
423, baby.
Never got past.
Okay, so here you can put your shoes.
Oh, okay, Gaia.
This is the room, and I
Okay.
show you the shower.
All right.
2 seconds. So, I give you a coin. A
Okay.
coin are 4 minutes of hot water.
Uh-huh.
You put the coin in and the water and the time starts.
Okay.
And when you have to continue this up.
Okay. Thank you, Gaia.
You're welcome.
We have our own room.
We got our own room. Gaia, the master tour guide.
Master tour.
Well earned. 2 juices, pera, pear. Pesca, peach. I think Mary's already tried the pesca.
Oh, the pesca is so good.
Rifugio Bertone is one of the best. Great showers, you can reserve your own 2-person room, and once again, the Italians know how to make a 3-course meal in the huts. From Gaia the tour guide to the rest of her family running the hut, we really enjoyed our stay and thank you.
It's Friday morning here at Rifugio Bertone, and it is raining. So we are making good use of our rain gear as we march towards Rifugio Elena. I have a little bit of a cold. Let's do this. Apparently it's supposed to be kind of crappy until midday, noon.
Get to Bonatti, get the good cappuccino, like
right.
Gunther told us.
Rifugio Bonatti is nice inside. Nice little
also,
seating.
I'm showing the glacier.
Yeah, I mean there's a glacier. And yelling cows. There's that glacier. There's that glacier. There's that glacier.
It's true that you become accustomed to seeing glaciers every day on this trek, but they're all stunning. My mind was also now accustomed to the beautiful simplicity of just walking all day, and having unwound, I was now more comfortable being introspective as I plodded along. I thought about how I spend my time in my everyday life. It might be cliché, but it's true that I felt a freeing insignificance walking through these giant mountains for several days. I thought about how small some of the things that stressed me out in regular life really were. I started chewing on some thoughts. Where do I want to be in 10 years? What should I change now to get there? After several hours of walking and thinking, we arrived at Rifugio Elena, and we were shown to the private room we booked.
Okay,
See?
this is the room. This is your shower and bathroom, private.
Amazing.
Okay.
Oh, this is luxury.
And the dinner at 7.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Grazie mille.
Private shower.
Private shower. What?
We spent the rest of our day together. The hut had great treats like ice cream and thick hot chocolate, which we enjoyed while we played the Italian card game Scopa, which you saw me play for the first time in Corsica with my friend Evan. A personal shower was the cherry on top of a great day spent walking through the mountains. Don't think for a minute that this hike would be lonely if you went alone. At Elena, we reconnected with friends we made over the last 5 days in the huts who spoke both English and French. If you do the TMB counterclockwise, you'll join tens of hikers doing the same route and distances, and this turns into funny stories at the huts or hiking together for a leg.
Hey, Carl. How's it going? How's the hike up?
No problem.
Good, good. That's right. Nice. Oh, this is the border.
Oh, no way.
Switzerland, Italy. Very cool. Welcome to Switzerland.
On day 6, we were hiking into the Swiss village of La Fouli, 8.5 miles away, where we planned on staying in a dormitory at Hotel Edelweiss. But to get there, we had to walk through the famous Bernese Alps, and we were excited.
I just had a strawberry milkshake in this incredible valley. Mary is enjoying a nice cappuccino. I like how the Swiss flag is square. Look at this little town. It's amazing. Ski lift, mountains everywhere, little wooden houses, unreal. Supermarket right here. We're having a picnic here on this little grassy knoll in La Fouli. Peaches, we had paprika chips. I tried another gluten-free beer, which I don't know why I keep doing this. We got the Californian doing yoga here in the middle of the Alps. Bonjour. Ça va bien? Ici, vous restez où? Oh, ma joie, super. Nous sommes à Edelweiss.
Demain, Champex.
Champex, vous aussi?
Ouais.
Super.
Moi je vais à pied. Michel en bus et moi à pied.
Ah, d'accord, d'accord. Vous êtes intelligent. You might be wondering why I'm not wearing a shirt. For the low price of 30 Swiss francs, the hotel is doing our laundry, and I have nothing but swim shorts left. So this is what it is. I'm the lunatic walking through the Swiss town, shirtless. You know, when you heard that Switzerland is expensive, you're right. We paid about $200 US dollars to sleep in a dormitory in a Swiss hotel, a shared room with 3 other people. So get me back to France. This is an outdoor playground and treetop zipline place. We found a table in the sun, so where I can bask shirtless. Scopa! All right, we are leaving Hotel Edelweiss. Yesterday our sticker shock was overcome. Edelweiss made a little bit of a comeback with some great food, probably the best food we've had on the trail so far. So now we're just gonna walk along the valley floor to Champex, which has a nice little lake there.
I forgot about the lake.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
The other thing we've noticed in Switzerland is, true to the stereotypes, it is neat as a pin. Like, we got a guy leaf blowing cut grass in the middle of the woods. Why? To make it look perfect, I guess.
Like the opposite of the US, where like once you enter the woods, it's every man for themselves. Here it's like random meadows are getting like mowed to perfection, and there's a cappuccino every 3 miles.
On longer hikes like this, it's important to take care of your body. Eat as well as you can, stretch out at night and in the morning, and savor the rest time. The trail will surprise you with cute towns and local attractions, and it really is the human element that makes this route so special.
I really like this Swiss town. You got these old wooden buildings with a stone base. Beautiful. Look at how perfect that wood is. Look at how insanely perfectly manicured that is. It's like they just made the house and giving the owner the keys. Their chicken house looks nicer than most houses I've seen in the world. Wow. 2-story Western chicken house.
I enjoyed learning about other people's stories and seeing how differently people live in the mountains. My introspection on the trail kept pointing me toward telling more stories, because it helps me learn about humanity and how I fit in. I'm just getting started on YouTube, but it's already been so fun sharing my thoughts and experiences with all of you, and I'm excited to grow as a filmmaker.
Hotel Alpina. Good to be here.
Reception this way.
Madame,
Bonjour, monsieur.
on a réservé une chambre pour ce soir.
Oui.
C'est très tôt pour...
Non, non, c'est prêt.
Super. C'est possible de nager à le lac Champex?
Oui, 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 bien sûr.
Super. Donc,
tchèque, anglais,
anglais,
français.
Apprendre un petit peu français.
Oh, si, vous le parlez très bien.
Non, merci.
Ah, c'est très, très bien.
J'aime bien la France. La
oui?
Suisse est très, très beau aussi.
Oh, c'est très joli aussi,
Ouais,
oui.
très joli.
Ah, ouais, ouais.
Et très propre.
Oui. Ça avait un peu baissé, mais là, à nouveau, c'est propre.
Ouais, ouais.
D'origine, le Suisse est propre. Mais il y a eu une époque un tout petit peu moins que les anciens. Les anciens étaient très, très...
Ouais.
Et là, à nouveau, la nouvelle jeunesse, c'est à nouveau très propre.
Mais c'est tout le monde.
Oui, je pense que c'est le monde entier
Ouais.
qui a fait comme ça.
Ouais.
La nouvelle jeunesse fait attention à la nature.
Ouais. Mais quand ils vont âgés,
Oui.
c'est le même, je pense.
Ça se peut. Parce
J'espère.
qu'après, J'espère.
Hide your kids, hide your wives. He's back shirtless doing laundry in another Swiss town. Hotel Alpina, so far, the absolute best reception ever. The place is beautiful, the rooms are gorgeous.
Immaculate, so clean.
We're so excited. Sentier de Champignons. This is the trail of the mushrooms. And here she is again, Charlotte the Marmot. Mary just talked about swimming to the other side and me meeting her there.
I think it might be a lot of talk though.
It seems like there's like a little, I don't know, market or something going on over there, so we're gonna check it out.
We didn't know it, but as luck would have it, we were in Champelloc during its monthly summer street fair, and it was incredible. Just when we thought the day was over, we learned that Marlene's husband, Stefan, was a Michelin-rated chef, and he had an impressive lineup for us that night. We had a delicious sea bass, beef with a sweet potato puree, and a poached pear sitting in a pool of caramel. It was a special end to an amazing day, after which we drifted to sleep. But while we slept, Mother Nature was readying a surprise for us.
We had a lot of lightning and thunder last night, so unfortunately we won't be able to go through the Fenêtre d'Arpet, which is this little window in a ridge, like a gun sight ridge. Lightning strikes are highly probable. The route is treacherous, especially when it's raining. So we're going to be going around by Bovin to Forclaz, which I've heard is exceptionally beautiful again.
I don't think that there is a bad route that you could take here.
There may not be an ugly route on the TMB, but could a beginner handle the weather and last-minute route changes? Honestly, some couldn't. When we walked through town, some of the friends we made in the previous huts were taking the bus to the next town. Our middle-aged French friend from Nantes was nursing an ankle injury, but he kept going on foot. We were determined to follow suit and finish the TMB without any assistance, so we pressed on through the rain.
The fog is coming for us.
Isn't there a horror movie called The Fog? Oh.
And we're in it.
If you do get caught in the rain here, it's the perfect opportunity to test your rain gear and learn how to hike in the rain with the promise of shelter along the way.
Sunshine came out for us at the last moment here. That's our hotel, that white building.
Hotel Col de la Forclaz had an old-timey alpine feel with all the basics you would expect. Bunk beds, breakfast, dinner, and showers. We slept in the dormitory and were just happy to be out of the rain. You were sort of expected to keep buying items to sit at the tables downstairs, which wasn't ideal since you were paying Switzerland prices. If you wanted to bring a tent on this hike and save some money, the Swiss section is probably the place to do it. There was a campground nearby in the town of Trion, which we walked through the next day on our way to Refuge Col de la Balme.
Nice church. Look at that. Nice and pink. You'll love to see it. Started at Col de Forclaz, went down to Trion. We were right here at this red dot. And now we're gonna get back on this trail. We're gonna come down and then hike to Col de Balme. The rain has gotten colder here on the ridge. We're kind of freezing, but the hut is right up there. Hello. You know, just freezing our ass off. Here's the dormitory, Col de Balme. We're gonna be right there. Got a nice little view out the window. The weather has been rough up here today. Because they use solar hot water heating, there's no hot water today in the shower, so Mary's thrilled about that, obviously, and so am I. We got some baby wipes that we're going to use instead.
But that wasn't the only hiccup we had in Refuge Col de la Balme. I reflected on our stay the next day with mixed feelings.
On the pros, they have a very nice wait staff. The food was not bad for dinner, although they didn't really have a way to accommodate allergies in the morning.
We had to actually eat oatmeal that we brought as an emergency food source.
Yep. Facility is not the nicest we've seen. There's 2 sinks for like 30 people and 1 shower and 2 toilets. It's a little bit drafty and stuff is dated. The mattress was like a hammock. And also we were warned by people about the person who manages this hut that they're pretty rude. And I had a little bit of a moment, let's say, with the manager who screamed at me for moving to another open bunk that I saw, which I thought was a bit much. Maybe he could have just explained it to me, but yeah, he was pretty rude. So I think if you don't want to have that kind of situation, you want to have a better refuge, I'd just probably skip this one, unfortunately. But it was okay, it got us through. And thank you to all the people who work in the kitchen and all that, they were great. We're going into the mist to Refuge La Flagère. I found what's been making all that racket. Les vaches. Bonjour. There's a shepherd here putting up the stakes for his cows. There's also a wild baby here. Bonjour. Just hanging out in the grass. Okay. I think that's his baby.
This was day 10, and our legs were both tired from the daily hiking and somehow kind of used to it. We were told by our trail friends that this phenomena caused the most injuries to occur in the last couple days on the TMB.
Oh yeah, we're in France now. Let's go.
I think the hiking poles we purchased may have actually saved us from careless hike-ending injuries on the downhill portions.
The glacier above us is opening up. We're in Argentier and we stopped for a little lunch. We went out of our way, actually, to get lunch, and that was definitely the right call. We went to a little place called Les Voisins, which means the neighbors, and it was a great meal. I had a mustard pork steak, and Mary had basil, tomato, and mozzarella risotto. How'd you like yours?
It was really good. I never had risotto like that.
Yeah.
It's like very acidic, but also super cheesy.
Now we're back on the trail, going to Refuge La Flagère.
It was such a peaceful existence. A full stomach, a challenging trail, and a mind that after more than a week of hiking was unspooled, rewired, and now eager for a challenge. I daydreamed about videos I was itching to create, movie-making skills I wanted to learn, and how I wanted my home to look Switzerland clean. It was a level of clarity and rest my mind needed days on the trail to achieve. And before I knew it, we were at the next hut.
Right under the chairlift. Refuge de la Flagère. Our hut for the night.
Refuge de la Flagère confirmed our French refuge experience at Bonhomme. It was basic, rustic, well-priced, and a very happy, welcoming place. We were in a 6-person bunk room. The showers were hot, the food was good, the views were serene, and we spent our final night on the trail catching up with friends we made throughout this journey, with whom we exchanged experiences on other multi-day hikes. There was one mountain in particular that made this hut special, and it would guide us back to Geraldine's Pizzeria in Les Houches on our final day of hiking.
Let's go to Les Houches.
Refuge de la Flagère. I quite enjoyed it actually. It was it's an old hut. You can hear it creak whenever anyone walks upstairs, and we had a good time on our last night. So now we're gonna enjoy our last day. It should be clear today. We got views of Mont Blanc. We're gonna soak it in and finish this up.
The last day was dominated by the mountain that inspired alpinism and Horace Benedict de Saussure hundreds of years ago. Mont Blanc watched over us that day and blessed us with perfect weather for finishing up the longest hike we've ever completed. The trail reminded us that our trek wasn't over yet, with steep uphills, ladders fastened into cliffs, and the most glorious trailside cafe of the trip. Is there something about long hikes that you can't get from a weekend trip? Well, you can definitely get legs that are more sore, but more than that, you get a healthy way to really reset your mind. Life is busy, and sometimes I feel I'm stuck in the same routine day in and day out. This hike helped my brain calm down and take a zoomed out look at my life. Life is good in general, but it's always helpful to reevaluate and make small changes to consciously live the life you want to live. Is the TMB worth doing? If your eyes haven't fallen out by now from these views, I don't know what to tell you. But beyond that, we met some great people and learned about 3 different hiking cultures. The French, with their huts reflecting liberté, égalité, and fraternité. The Italians, with their family atmosphere and beautifully indulgent meals. And the Swiss, with their world-class cleanliness and quality that will make your wallet cry. Can a beginner finish this trail? We know plenty who have. But that was something we were still planning on proving to ourselves as the sun rose high on the trail. A giant statue of Christ watched over us as we made our way to where it all started, where a pizzeria was ready to host our tired feet. And we were ready to take our mountain wisdom and go home.